Okay, so welcome everyone. My name's Marika Gare and I will be your host today for the Inspiration Trilogy podcast. And this is a platform for women all over the globe to share their stories, to be inspired and empowered and really support each other through that village of support. So today we have the amazing Sandy Davies from the award-winning HappyPause joining us to share her wisdom and break the stigma on menopause and women's health and share her story and of how she's gone to where she is. So Sandy, you're also a best-selling author of multiple books, and you edited The Power to Rise Above, which is a phenomenal book. There's so many amazing stories. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you've got to where you are.
Yeah, well, I am on Eastern Gugu Allergy country up in the Daintree in the top of far north Queensland.
So
But long before that, I was born and raised in Kansas. And I completely ended up in Australia by accident, met my soulmate and stayed. And I'm so thankful I did. And I love our tropical life. And one of the things I really like about part of my journey that brought me here to this moment today with HappyPause, when I first formulated HappyPause, I was asked to become a part of Courage and Confidence, what it really takes to succeed in business. And I love that that is the commonality that brought us together. And
Absolutely.
I love your chapter in Courage and Confidence and your practical tips and just that whole inspiration around, we can do it if we want to be in business. We can line up the blocks and get all of our ducks in a row and take the leap.
Absolutely. We can do anything. We just have to have that mindset and that motivation and that drive, which so many of us women have. We're just powerhouses when we want to be. So, okay. So, and tell us a little bit about Happy Pause and what it is how it helps women.
Yeah, well, HappyPause is an intimate moisturizer. So it is a moisturizer for your vulva and your vagina. And it is so important that we moisturize down there. I always go on about how if we feel good down there, we feel good everywhere. But I came to that discovery with a lack of education. So I was going to my GP in my 40s with some symptoms. I didn't actually realize that perimenopause was where everything happens, all the symptoms, everything that flares up. And my GP kept saying, it's just perimenopause. And all I could think of was, oh my gosh, if perimenopause is this bad, menopause is going to be awful. Now, of course, I know that perimenopause is that huge tidal wave where it all happens before we have one day that is menopause, where we haven't had a period for 12 months. And then we're postmenopausal. But there's so much of that education that got lost for our generation. So I'm out there just banging the drum every chance I get now to help us learn more about menopause and learn more about perimenopause and know how even to talk to our GP so we don't get fobbed off like I did. But I'm so glad I did get fobbed off, because what that led to was me ordering products from all over the globe after I had an allergic reaction to a multi-day vaginal pessary. I ordered products from all over because I thought there had to be something better, and I couldn't find anything better. Even the natural things still had these huge chemical lists on the back.
Yeah.
So I went back to my chemistry roots and kind of made my high school chemistry teacher really chuffed, because I created this amazing balm that is low dose, no panty liner, natural, vegan. And it makes us feel good.
And that's amazing. And like you say, that's what we all need. And I think there's so many women who have been through the same journey as you. They've gone to their doctor, they've been fogged off. It's just perimenopause, it's just this. But there's also a lack of knowledge, and they don't know the full advice of potentially of what they should be providing. And even myself, I've visited my doctor and I've had lots of different things happen over time, but it's just kind of been missed. So I think it's so important what you're doing is to really get the message out there, get the conversations flowing. And, a lot of women, they aren't aware that that initial stage is just so intense and so immense. And it can start a lot earlier than what we realize. So it's such an important conversation. And so what advice would you give to women who are on the start of that journey, who are kind of struggling with everything that's coming up with that?
The biggest thing is find a GP who is your advocate. And then also just educate yourself, because each of our perimenopause journeys are unique. And one of the most heartbreaking things I discovered when I entered this journey with formulating HappyPause is that so many women are fobbed off with antidepressants, or just given a little bit of information and not enough, and don't end up actually being taken seriously with perimenopause. And it can start even in our late 30s, but the average age is 41, 42.
Yeah.
And we're in our prime in our 40s. We're not thinking about perimenopause. We're thinking menopause is something that happened like in the in their 50s for women before
old
us.
at that age. It's like, I'm not even old yet.
I know. Well, and that's part of why we end up either, not going to a GP or getting misdiagnosed with so many GPs that don't have the tools for menopause. So, it's just get out there and advocate for yourself, and know that if you're getting brain fog, you are not losing your mind. You do not have you most likely do not have early Alzheimer's. It is a natural thing. There are 39 symptoms that just knock us about and kind of send us for a loop. And one of the things with dryness in particular as a symptom is there's an assumption, even with so many of our GPs and health practitioners, that dryness is only about intercourse and only about maybe discomfort with penetration. And that is not the case. So often with 70% of us will have dryness. And so often with dryness, it can even just be not being able to sit still in the afternoon at the workplace, or getting a little bit irritated with different toilet papers in different venues, and just inability to concentrate because you can't quite get comfortable. You can't sit through a movie.
That sensitivity, that uncomfortableness, that it's honest. I mean, we sit down every day, so that having that is monumental, really, to have that discomfort on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. So just keeping our skin supple and moisturized and plump, it just helps us feel our beautiful selves and less frustrated trying to deal with all the other symptoms that just say, hello, I'm here.
But they kind of they feel like they come out of nowhere sometimes. Some of them might build up, but like you mentioned previously with the brain fog as well, and the dryness, and it's just kind of poof, it's all there. And it's a lot to take on. And I think, like you said, with our generation, and in previous generations, it wasn't talked about. You weren't told what to expect, what to do. It was all just hush, hush, hush. We don't talk about that kind of stuff. So once again, this is it's an incredible topic to be able to getting out there. And you are doing so many amazing things. You've had international interviews, you've written multiple books. So tell us a bit more about your book as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm up here in Daintree, and I found myself in a situation where a number of workmates were dealing with a very toxic manager. And it was a manager who almost took delight in trying to undermine younger female workers with talent and potential. And it was absolutely devastating watching almost a revolving door. And I was a weekend supervisor, so I didn't have a lot to do with the person that was wreaking havoc. And I came in to start my shift one Saturday, and my workmate was literally breaking the broom into the floor. And she just was so angry she couldn't speak and couldn't figure out what to do. So I just grabbed a broom and started breaking the floor with her.
Aww.
And the conversation led to me sharing about an experience with being bullied. And that was where a lot of my resilience has come from through the rest of my life. And she stopped, put her hand on top of the broom, and looked at me and just said, bullshit. You? No way. And something literally broke in me in that moment. I thought, it's not that I've, repressed that bullying incident or buried it or anything. It's just that you get busy with life and you focus on the now rather than dwelling in the past. And I realized I'm in my 50s and I've done a disservice to others by not saying, hey, this crap happens and this is how we can get through it. And that was where the Power to Rise Above was born. And it was just going to be largely anti-bullying, but it grew into someone sharing her really practical tips of how she, along with her therapist, managed to get out the other side of PTSD with practical tips for when events flare. We had people write about childhood abuse. A number of us wrote about our resilience after suicide with family members.
Oh my gosh.
Bullying, just so much. And there's even a chapter by Karen Gibson, The Failed Gift of My Attempted Suicide.
Oh.
And her kids reached the age where she had attempted suicide, and she realized she'd never talked about it, and it was time. And these stories, all of them, whether it's the experiences of someone trans or that experience of attempted suicide, my experience and a number of others who wrote about experiences with bullying in school and how that helped us with bullies in the workplace. Every one of these chapters has a way of just reaching out to magically be there for someone that needs to know in this exact moment that they're not alone.
That is just sounds like it's just a phenomenal book, and it's so powerful. Like you said, so many powerful stories. I mean, I've been through several of those situations myself. I've suffered from PTSD, bullying in the workplace, and it's just, we kind of internalize all these things. And I'm realizing, like yourself now, when we've co-authored some books and we're sharing these stories and we're getting the word out there, we're not alone, and it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel those feelings, and it's really important as well for your mental health, because you just go further and further down that path of depression and anxiety and even suicide. So it's just imperative that we talk about this, and as women that we support each other and just grow that village around us. And I just absolutely love what you're doing. You are such a powerhouse and such an advocate for every female out there who might be struggling, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Do you have any more books in the works coming out?
Well, I didn't expect to, but there is already a volume 2 of The Power to Rise Above in the works. And I have a feeling The Power to Rise Above is just going to grow and grow and grow, possibly even looking to particular themes in future volumes. So yeah, we really have a thirst right now to hear other people's stories of bravery, and sometimes even other people's stories of humble braveness, because we have so many First Nation authors who came to join this story of The Power to Rise Above. And each one of the First Nation authors come to their story with such a place of humility, of not thinking that what they've written about is so exceptional. And I just love, that humble bravery just gives all of us hope and reminds us that we don't have to be a huge vocal crusader or cheerleader. We can just be being us. And sometimes just being us is absolutely killing it when we find that way to put one foot in front of the other on a bad week or a bad day.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay, so tell us a bit more about, I know you're talking about the HappyPause Balm. We'll go back to this. You've got a few other products in the works as well. So tell us a bit more about those.
Yeah, well, I created an aromatherapy balm. It's called the Happy Hit. And it's just one of those things sometimes of, be open and listen to your customer base and be responsive.
Yeah.
And I had a customer who was really struggling in the afternoons, just, getting that menopausal lethargy and that frustration with inability to concentrate, and that brain fog stuff just making you go, oh, are you kidding me? I've got stuff to do. And in the process of listening to what she was struggling with, and one of her allergies, where she reached out to a company that had a menopause related aromatherapy product, and she asked for something that maybe didn't have lavender because of an allergy, and she was met with a fairly brusque response, followed by the fact that their product was actually imported, so they couldn't reach out and make any changes. And it just, she wasn't asking me to do anything at the time. She was just saying, I'm so mad. And then I thought, I'm so mad. And I just went in a flurry of, this isn't right. She needs something. And created a happy hit. And it has turned out to be the biggest hidden blessing and rainbow and silver lining for so many women. So I'm so thankful that she just happened to share with me that frustration that day, because we've done something that's a little bit earthy and just gives you a little bounce to clear your mind in the afternoon. And one of the things I discovered with it too is so many people are using it at night. So if they get up at night, in the night for a middle of the night wee, and then they come back and their brain just starts, all that chatter of, gotta do this, gotta do that. The whole purpose with some of the essential oils for clearing your mind to be able to focus in the afternoon turns out to be the same thing we need to sort of clear our mind, to be able to just breathe and go, yes, and just let it go and back to sleep. Who knew?
Yeah, and it helps with that insomnia, right? So what sort of your main ingredients in that? What the main aromas that you use in that? Are you able to share?
Yeah, one of the big ones is ylang ylang. So that's just that, that calming,
one of my favorite,
and that soothing, and I just, part of my love affair with ylang ylang is because I live in the Daintree, and when it is flowering, you just feel like it just lifts you up and wafts you into the tendrils of the rainforest, and you just feel at peace, and you just breathe and let go. So I love that ylang ylang, and fennel of all things. And I've just found fennel, it gives it this earthy scent, but it also just gives you a bit of a power punch.
Yeah, I love the smell of that, and I often go to my fridge when I've got it, and I just love that. So yeah, that's awesome. Oh, beautiful. So tell people who are hearing us today talk about your product. So where can we find you? Where can they source things from you?
Yeah, so the easiest way is to go to our website, which is HappyPause, is a play on menopause. So it's HappyPause, pause.com.au. So come and find us there. And the other thing, we are growing and growing and growing with our chemists now across Australia. Like, we were in the Pacific Fair on the Gold Coast, we're in Maroochydore, we're in more and more whole life pharmacy and health foods all across the country. We're growing into the Alive pharmacy. So if you have a favorite pharmacy somewhere that you like as your go-to and you would like them to stock HappyPause, just let me know and we'll reach out to them and hopefully have it in their shelves the next time you need it.
Fabulous. And for those of us who are in WA, I understand that you have quite a large clientele base in WA. So if there's anyone listening to this who lives in Perth or even the regional areas, because they're just as important, doesn't matter where you live, we all go through these things, reach out to Sandy. We'll put links in below so you can reach out. And I also will be helping Sandy bring some products to WA. So we'll be doing some wonderful things together and making your products more available no matter where anyone is. So thank you very much for today, Sandy. Like I said, I admire you so much. You're doing so many phenomenal things, not just for women experiencing menopause, but who've been through various traumas throughout their life. And there's no words to how amazing you actually are. So just thank you so much for everything you do. And anyone who's wanting to learn more about Sandy, follow her, like her posts, just contact her if you want to be a part of her upcoming anthologies. And yeah, we thank you again for today, and good luck with everything you do in the future.
Oh, thanks heaps, Marika. Make it happy.
Yay. And thanks to all our listeners for listening to the Inspiration Trilogy. We'll see you again soon.